Hi, my name is Gavin Martindale. I'm a junior at the University of Oklahoma. I am 21 years old and I am studying biology in hopes to be a dentist one day. My paper is about cultural oppression, but the main point is just about the culture of the Native Americans. My paper talks about the stories and the literature of the people, the dances, the musics, and the ceremonies. The main dances that I cover in the paper are the sun dance, the snake dance of the Hopi, and the ghost dance. This is really just an introductory video, and the rest is a PowerPoint that I will voice over. But the reason I chose cultural oppression is because it is something that stuck out to me throughout this class, and I've had a great time doing this intercession class. Thank you. The cultural tribes lived on stories, literature, ceremonies, dances, music, and dreams. The timing of cultural oppression took place before the 1880s, but the peak of the bans imposed by the Bureau of Indian Affairs was from 1900 to 1933. This was a time of westward expansion for the whites, and the Native Americans were expected to assimilate into the white culture. The job of the Bureau of Indian Affairs was basically to control the Indian problem. The president wanted to teach the indigenous people to be white and Christian and to value the private property and farming. The white people were conservative, coming from Anglo-Saxon American culture, who believed in working hard and living morally. One of their main aspirations was to actually own the land that they were working for. Native Americans believed that the land itself could only be owned by nature, however. The whites offered the Native Americans the Dawes Act, which basically said, if you give up being nomads, we will give you 160 acres and citizenship. Unfortunately, neither of these two offerings really meant anything towards the Indians. Besides squelching Native American beliefs about land and nature, the next attack on their culture came in the dance bands. The sun dance was considered to raise warlike passions, while the snake dance was believed by whites to involve child abuse and sex. The ghost dance was thought of as a dance to stir the rebellion. The ghost dance was more or less a lost straw for the set-off of a white panic. In November of 1890, President Benjamin Harrison ordered the military to take over a Lakota Sioux, South Dakota reservation. Over 300 Native Americans died in what had all started as a peaceful religious movement. The ghost dance arose from a need for deliverance from oppression and sorrow. Demoralized by broken promises, loss of thin homelands, and assaults on their way of life, they saw their new dance tied to a new religion that promised rebirth, renewal, and revitalization. By 1921, the Commissioner of Indian Affairs was urging his superintendent to eradicate any dances of questionable character. To the surprise of many, the superintendent claimed the dances were not dangerous. He went on to say that just because it is Indian does not mean it is bad, and just because it is white does not mean it is good. Some settlers were even going to reservations to watch these dances. The attitudes were starting to shift for people. Catholics, Jews, Quakers, and Puritans all came to America to escape religious persecution. I find it ironic, though, that Native Americans were denied these very same liberties motivating the formation of this country. This paper boiled down to politics versus religion. The courts interpreted the First Amendment to not include Native American rights as hard to understand for someone in today's society. In today's society, trying to put yourself in shoes of an American where he came from and what he faced in the 1800s is so far from removed from the world today. The reason I chose to talk about cultural oppression in this presentation was basically the fact that I saw that throughout all of the things in this intercession, the thing that stood out to me most was the Indians staying true to their roots. They always had to face hard things, whether it was the banning or just people being racist towards them, but they always made sure that their culture came first and stayed strong throughout all of it. And in videos like Rebel Music and This May Be Our Last Time, that is what showed me was that younger people were also getting involved and showing that their culture can be passed on still and maintain it. And that's why I think it's important, and I think that's what took the most impact on me throughout this class. Even though we learned great things about music, whether it was the dances or the music or the regalia or different things about the instruments such as flutes and drums, but what stuck to me was the Indians always being all about their culture and staying faithful in everything they believed in, and that is why I chose type about cultural oppression.